Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the clock just ticked to 2:15, so we're going to get started. Thanks for making the time to be here today for our gathering and in-service. So we're blessed today to have Julia Guerra with us, who's going to talk about occupational safety and injuries and the management thereafter. And then we're also going to have our very own Enrique De Luna talk about mainly resident falls and our responses to that. So really glad everybody's here today, and as a reminder, please put your cell phones on silence or turn them off, whatever you prefer. It kind of disrupts the scenario. And also, hopefully everybody's signed in so you get credit for the in-service and you get a door prize ticket. All right? Great. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to ask Julie to come on up and share her wisdom with us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So we had a first session and get to do it all again. Hopefully I'll be a little bit better. I had a little bit of practice earlier, so I'll try to be better with you guys. Not that I was bad, but I'm going to try. So what we do, my name is Julie Guerra, and I am with Occupational Accident Risk. And what we do is we assist Army residents with their work injury benefits and plan, okay? So if it's unfortunate that you might get injured at work, that's where we come into play, okay? So I'm just going to go over, some of you might have seen it last year. So it's just a refresher for anybody that's new. It's just giving you the information on what to do if and when you have a work injury, or if you don't, then that's even better, right? We definitely strive for a safe workplace. I know Army residents is very good about trying to do that. So if there is an injury, we come into play, and then that's where we can help out, okay? So let me get real quick. Nope, wrong one. Okay, so I'll give a brief overview. Well, that was my overview, right? So who we are, how we assist. Go over some safety information, claims, what to do in case of a claim, and then you report it to us. OAR for short, Occupational Accident Risk. I think it's a mouthful, but OAR for short. And then I'll leave some time for any questions if you have any then. So what's the definition of an accident? An accident is something that is unforeseen, unplanned, and unexpected, right? You don't plan it. It just happens. That's why it's an accident. So, and it occurred at a specific time and place. Resulted in a physical injury, and for claims purposes, it happened while you were at work. The term that we use is called course and scope. So you were working, you were doing your job duties and you got injured, so that'll qualify it as a work injury. But it had to happen at a specific time and place. I mentioned earlier that your job might be repetitive and you have to constantly lift, certain amount of pounds, 10 pounds, if you're stocking something. I understand, I know there's a wide range of different jobs. You have housekeeping, maintenance, home health, you even have office staff. All jobs, right, are prone to having an accident. So depending on what your specific job is, you could have an accident, right? But if you do a repetitive job, right, that you have to, in order to qualify as an accident under work injury, it has to be a specific time and place. On Monday at this time, when I was lifting this box, I felt something. I felt a pull. I felt a pop. Some describe it as a burning sensation when you feel pain or something like that, right? So we work with a whole bunch of different industries. You have a wide range of different jobs. So each job will be different of what you're doing, and the injuries could be different, right? So again, it's unplanned, unforeseen, and it occurred at a specific time and place, resulting in a physical injury while you're doing your job duties. Some of the safety tools that we can go over is use the tools that are provided to you for your specific job. Every job, right, description is going to have different types of tools or safety equipment that you might need. If you feel that you don't have those tools, please reach out to your supervisors. I'm sure they're more than glad to help you out to avoid any injuries. So report any unsafe conditions, right? In the kitchen or housekeeping or something. If there's a spill, report that as soon as possible, or if you're able to clean it up to avoid somebody else from falling. Being careful yourself not to fall, right? If there's a spill or unsafe conditions on the ground, sometimes what I've seen in other instances, not here, maybe crack on the sidewalk or uneven or just something, right? So if you see something, just report it. Be aware of your surroundings, so try to keep your workplace away from clutter. Like if somebody's in the office area, sometimes I've seen they trip and fall on electrical outlets or the plugs. What do you call it? The cords, sorry. They trip and fall on the cords, right? I know many jobs, they try to keep it IT, they put some stuff to keep it all together and nice and neat, but sometimes you never know. So just be aware of that. Practice good posture when you're sitting or when you're lifting things. I know I'm bad about it. We hunch over if you're on the computer or something like that, or when you're lifting, you're supposed to bend at your knees, not straight forward, stuff like that. Take regular breaks as allowed. If you feel that you need extra, definitely get with your supervisor. Don't just go out on your own, right? So definitely check with them if you feel that you need additional breaks. I missed the stay hydrated as we're coming into the warmer months. If you're working outside or if you're walking more than usual, I know staying hydrated is a very, very important to try to avoid some of those accidents. And again, just to recap, be aware of your surroundings. And then we go to accidents happen. That's why it's an accident. And what you do here is you have to report it to your supervisor as soon as possible, within 24 hours. But the sooner, the better, right? No matter how small you might think it might be, if you feel a pull or something, definitely as soon as possible. Some people will like to say, it's like, oh, I'm going to wait overnight, I'm going to go home, take something, it'll get better. But if you don't report it within 24 hours, it could hinder your benefits, and we don't want that to happen, because the plan benefits and guidelines do state that you have to report it within 24 hours. Now, many of you about being hired should have received, or you signed for a plan description, and I understand it's in the employee portal or something like that, where if you have any questions or concerns, like what happens or what to do in case of an accident, and it's all described there. And one of the major things that we like to encourage or point out is that you do have to report it as soon as possible or within those 24 hours to make sure that you don't jeopardize the benefits. Okay, so let me see. So once that gets reported to your supervisor, then they go over to HR, they report it to us. The reason that we want to get a hold of it as soon as possible is because we understand that some injuries will require you to go to the ER. They're going to rule out any life-threatening situation and then patch you up and go on your way. But they don't know how your plan operates. They're going to direct you to your PCP, to your personal doctor. Well, the plan doesn't operate like that. The plan has specific approved providers, and that's why the sooner that we can get a hold of you and give you all those guidelines and what to follow, then it's going to make sure that you get the proper care that you need, okay? So we will set it up in our system. We will send out a text, we will call you, and send out a letter. So we are definitely trying to get a hold of you. And then I'll also bug Ashton, is like, this gentleman, this lady has not called me, we need to get a hold of them. Because we want to make sure that you're informed and not jeopardize again. I cannot emphasize enough, we don't want you to jeopardize your benefits. I have unfortunately dealt where people don't follow the plan, don't contact us, that jeopardizes your benefits. These benefits are set here for a reason for you, so that you can get better, right? If an unfortunate accident happened, they want to make sure you get better, okay? So once you establish care at the doctor, then we need to make sure you do follow the doctor's orders. Sometimes they'll order physical therapy, or they'll recommend for you to follow up, because they want to make sure that you're healing correctly and nothing else is going on. And they might recommend light duty. So there's a sheet that they'll check off and say what you can and cannot do for your job. Now, Army residents can decide that they can accommodate those restrictions or cannot. And when they make that decision is they can either keep you in your same job or they can find you light duty somewhere else, okay? So that helps you get back into staying working so that you're not losing any money. But some of the benefits is that medical is paid at 100%, and if you're off of work for an extended time, then there's a disability benefit that can be reviewed. But nothing beats going back to work because it's not 100%, okay? So, what are some of the exclusions? One of the top main ones is definitely alcohol and drugs, right? So that's just standard as far as an employee handbook and is extended over to the work injury benefits. You'll go, they usually do a drug screen or testing, and if it comes up positive, then the benefits are denied. Horseplay or other inappropriate behavior, don't see much in this situation, right? But we do deal with some fast food chains in my job, and you have a younger workforce, and definitely horseplays come into play sometimes. So, violation of safety rules or practices for your specific job. I'm sure you have safety procedures that you have to follow. If it's found out that you violated some of those safety processes, then your claim could be denied. So when we get the claim, we reach out to you and we have to find out what happened, how it happened, and that's part of our investigation. Unfortunately, it's a line of questioning, and sometimes the injured workers are like, they feel like it's an interrogation. Well, it's not an interrogation. We're just trying to get all the information to be able to properly help you, okay? So don't take offense. We're just getting all the information that we need, okay? So another thing that is not included or is excluded is personal health conditions or degenerative issues, arthritis. Unfortunately, the injury could aggravate it, and you'll get treatment for what is a work injury. But if there's any underlying issues, then that's definitely the plan would treat it up to where you were right before. But for any degenerative, that's definitely something with your personal health insurance. Okay. So again, in reporting the claim, report it as soon as possible or within 24 hours, okay? Be descriptive. Tell us what happened, not just, oh, I hurt my left arm. Well, what were you doing? You know, the more information we have, the more we're able to help you. So I hurt my left hand while I was lifting, or I hurt my left hand because I slipped and I put it out, you know, and I hurt it on my landing. How be descriptive, because those forms are provided you by the ladies. It's Ashton or Stephanie. After your supervisor might have these forms. I'm not too sure. So it says describe the injury. So it's not just left hand. It's like, how did you hurt your left hand, right? So then we start and we get everything going for you. We set up a claim number. We make sure you go to the proper doctors, because they're the ones that can address the workability. Not all clinics treat injured workers. These are specific to injured workers, and they're able to assess and evaluate the work restrictions to get you back to work. First healing and then back to work. So our main goal is to aim for no accidents, but we understand that it does happen. So when it does happen, again, I cannot emphasize enough, just report it to somebody, because you could try to go home and hopefully it blows over and you're feeling better, but let's say it gets complicated. If it gets complicated and you didn't report it, then you lose out on these benefits. And these benefits are established to make sure that you get proper healing and that you get back to work. You know, nobody wants to lose out on work, right? So definitely that is what we're aiming for. So again, you have the different jobs that you have. So just, if you feel that you need extra tools to do that job, or you see something, it's always important that you report anything that you see to avoid any injuries, okay? Does anybody have any questions? I know it's a lot of information, but the benefits of how it's the benefits and the provisions, in other words, your responsibilities, is in that portal. So if you have time, read over it. Mainly is just to avoid it, but when it cannot be avoided, that's what we're here to help. Also, I forgot to mention in the first session, I am bilingual, so lo que les pueda asistir en español sin problema. So we have, and if it's any other languages, we also have the capability of requesting any translation. So definitely don't let language be a barrier on reporting any claims. Okay, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Another round for Julia. Appreciate it. Okay, Enrique, showtime.
Okay, una canción. No, I'm not a very good singer. I probably get everyone out of here. Well, maybe a little sooner, huh? Well, good afternoon, everybody. What we're going to do is about falls within the continuum of care. How they happen, what our responsibilities are when we see someone on the floor. We're going to start with independent living. When see why residents may fall. They're all saying about you don't use it, you lose it. That's true. You lose elasticity. As we grow older, I can see myself walking a little slower sometimes. And then when I fall, I still feel it. It's been a month and I still feel when I fell. So Well, with our residents, they do actually, 1 out of 4 residents that are older than 65, they will suffer a fall one time or another, and it's harder for them to recuperate. What are the common factors? It'll be like medications. When they come over from the hospitals, they are with, maybe they had surgery, so the anesthesia is still in with them. Medications, they have a lot of medications they have taken, blood pressure medications especially, any antipsychotics, any medications of that. Just being weak, coming from the hospital to a different environment as well. They're coming to a different environment. They're not home. They're coming to our communities. They're getting used to us. So yeah, chances that they fall, that something is on their way is going to happen, is going to provoke a fall. Now, of course, we don't go there and then just put our foot so they can trip. We don't trip our residents, hopefully not. We want to make sure that they're safe. So this is, what are the preventive strategies that will include is that we want to make sure that the medications are checked. We do have a doctor that checks the medications list to see that they're on the appropriate medication, and we also check the blood pressures regularly in our healthcare area. Okay. I say the objective is that you understand the protocol to follow when finding a resident on the low level. When they're on the floor, that's a low level when they are on the floor. Now, in independent living, when you find a resident on the floor, in their rooms, in the hallways, in the bistro, and in any other area, you want to call the front desk. Then it's the numbers over there. Extension 5300, you call there immediately. You do not leave the resident by themselves. You stay with the resident. You stay with them until help arrives. What are we going to do? Sometimes the resident says, you know what, can you not get up? Get me up. Why is it that the resident wants to get up so fast? What do you think? Embarrassment. Yeah, they're embarrassed. I was embarrassed too as well. Having people see me on the floor like, oh, even though I was by myself. Anyway, embarrassment. They don't want anyone else to come over, and also cost. The cost that comes when the EMS comes over, there might be a cost on it. So they don't want that to happen. So what do we do? I want to make sure to reassure them. No, I'm sorry, I cannot really pick you up because I may injure you further. I may get in trouble. I'm sorry, I will know that I cannot do it. Okay. So main thing to know is that when you see someone on the floor, you stay with them, call for help, and independent living call 5300. Now we go to the assisted living and healthcare. If a licensed nurse is on duty, you will call the nurse, or if not, you call the manager to let them know, and they call 911 to have the assist the resident out. And healthcare, we do have nurses, licensed nurses, so it is the same thing. We call the nurse, we stay with the resident. So the theme is that in all levels of care, we stay with the resident. We call for help. We do not leave the resident. We do not assist them until they get evaluated. Okay. This is a long one. Every single resident that comes into healthcare and assisted living gets evaluated for a risk, full risk. Now, if they are already established, we have already established that if they are 65 and older, there are higher risk for falls. So yes, they come from the hospital, they're coming from another facility, another rehab place. They're going to be coming in here, they're going to get used to us. So what is our job to do is to making sure that we assess them. We evaluate those residents to see what are we going to put in place to make sure that they are safe. What are the things, or one time or another you have gone to a resident room in healthcare or in assisted living, mostly in healthcare you see more those interventions. Well, what are the one thing that you'll see in a room that a resident has high risk for falls, and what intervention you think it was taken with this resident? Can you tell me, Robert?
A patient usually who is a fall risk probably is walking around without a walker.
The interventions that you have, what I'm talking is about the interventions. What kind of interventions have we taken so the resident is safe?
Like fall mats and stuff like that.
Very good. Fall mats. You'll see some fall mats. You see the bed lower to the floor. So that way, if the resident is at high risk for falls, it rolls over, the resident is not injured, or at least mitigates the chances of the resident breaking a bone. It doesn't. Sometimes it will take just that for a resident to break something. However, we minimize the chances. The floor mat, very good. Yes, floor mats are there for something, for a reason. That is, if the resident rolls over, that doesn't hit the floor. The floor hurts. Believe me, I know that. Yeah, it hurts very bad. But with that mat, also at least prevents that. What other interventions you think we'd use?
The cola don't reach.
Very good. Cold lights wouldn't reach. And assisted living, we have the buttons, isn't it? The call buttons for the residents need assistance, so you go there. Call lights, a lot of times, we cannot take the call lights away from the residents. We never do that. We always have to be, wherever the resident goes, the call light was in the room. And they are outside the room, there's always a visual assessment with them, a visual. Now, let's see, I'm in housekeeping, another department, dietary, and I see a call light on a resident. It's important though, because it's everybody's responsibility to see how the resident safety, or for the resident's safety, isn't it? We're responsible for their safety. That's why we're here. If we see a light, pick on it, pick in the room. Oh, okay. The resident is okay, is waiting for someone to come over and help him doing something else. Okay, I'll go there and tell someone that can do help. But because the resident may be on the floor and you don't see him, you're like, okay, well, the light's on, I'm just okay going out. But it's our all responsibility to make sure that the resident is safe in a safe place. Residents fall, and as she said too as well, anyone can fall. The residents do fall too. 72 hours, within the first 72 hours of admission is the highest risk for a resident to fall. So if you have a new resident, that's the time that we're going to be checking them more often, really, because that's the time that they may be on the floor, because it's a new environment. And They may wanted to go to the restroom and they forget that they had coli. You already told them about coli, but they forgotten. So they get up and like they go on the floor. So 72 hours to every. That is the time that they are at highest risk. They get to know where they are. Okay. What about if a resident already is on the floor? You see him on the floor. What do we say that we do? What do we do if we have a resident on the floor?
We get we call front desk and get a nurse to come help out to get the resident up and wait with them.
Okay. And it's good. Well, you are from another department, IL, housekeeping, another department. Then you will call the front desk if it's a resident from independent living. If it is a resident from assisted living that you try to call the nurse. You stay with the resident. At any time, you do not leave the resident by themselves. You stay with them until help comes. Okay. You have any questions so far? Questions? Oh, they're quieter than the last one. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Have a good day.
We're very thankful for Enrique and all the training he does, and that's one of the reasons why he's a past Elite Longoria Spirit Award winner. He got that in February, so we really appreciate his help for us. And, you know, falls, how many of you have been witnessed a resident fall and you stayed with them, or, okay. You know, I had an experience where a resident had a little too much to drink. He crashed his scooter, kind of cut his nose, and I sat with him on the ground till EMS got here. We called him. But I'm telling you, he called me about every name you can imagine. He was so mad that I wouldn't help lift him up. And I kept trying to tell him, sir, I don't want to hurt you or hurt myself, and this is our policy. And so sometimes we have to grin and bear it. You know what that means? We got to put up with them and try to just calm them down and try to get through the situation. But you know, really, we're here to protect each other and the residents. And you try to lift somebody, you hurt your back, then we have two people hurt. Plus, you don't really know the extent of their injury. You lift them, it might separate, a fracture, and then we're in a lot of hot water. So we do a lot of things in addition to what Enrique talked about. Even in independent living, we have fitness and wellness programs. We have balance training. We have fall prevention, tons of interventions. You've seen it in healthcare, you know, all throughout. And then also therapy. People get physical therapy and occupational therapy. We might notice they've had a change in condition. They do an assessment. They start doing therapy to make them stronger or improve their balance. So it's really a good program. And there's a lot of talk about why don't you just tie people to their bed or tie them to their chairs. And that's what used to happen a long time ago. I've been in this field 30 years. They used to restrain residents in beds, restrain them in their chairs, give them chemical restraints, drugs. But over time, you know, regulations, resident rights, quality of life, all of that has changed. So you can't restrain a resident because that's all research-based that really determined they get hurt worse and more severe because of the restraints or the bed rails or those kind of things. So really, the industry's come a long way, and we'll continue to work hard to keep our residents and our employees safe. I was at one place where we put little stars on top of the rooms. We called them falling stars, so we knew who was the fall risks and would kind of keep a closer eye on it. And the state came through and said, oh, it's a dignity issue, so kind of darned if you do and darned if you don't. So anyway, thank you again, Enrique and Julia. We appreciate the education. We're going to move on into some announcements, and some of them were here at the 1 o'clock meeting, but we're going to recognize them anyway. We did going to go through March anniversaries of 10 years plus, and if you're in here, please stand up. Again, we recognized some earlier today, but Augustine Palacios Guzman in the design studio, 12 years, hoorah, congratulations. Dario Adrias in dining services was 16 years, and we saw her earlier today. Luz Olivares, Dining Services, 18 years. She was here earlier at 1. Regina Johnson in Healthcare, 18 years. That's a big one. And then Ruben Cruz in Dining Services, 28 years. 28. So if y'all see them, congratulate them for that incredible service. We also had one promotion we announced. Daniel Rowe was promoted from security to a housekeeping supervisor. So he was in here a little bit earlier, and we always do try to promote from within whenever we can. Also, at 1 o'clock, we announced the Alita Longoria Spirit Award winner for March, and that was Felicia Clary in IL Activities. So if you see Felicia, just congratulate her, and she got some great spending money and recognition and a certificate, but she's done a great job, and we really appreciate they routinely have over 200 activities every single month for the residents, and it's a super great, incredible job. Also, March happens to be National Social Workers Month, and we want to recognize our social worker, Deborah Settles. And thank you, and we'll continue to celebrate her. She has a whole month to celebrate, so thank you for your service and all you do. Let's see, what else? Hope everybody enjoyed the Employee Appreciation Day on March 6th, the massage trucks, and that was pretty fun. And I asked the guy, they run about $7,500 up to about $12,000 per chair, so he's got quite a business going. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and with all the festivities and the refreshments, and thanks to HR for coordinating that and pulling it off. That was a good time. Also want to just recognize and thank the Art Kiwanis Club. Yeah, probably last week you saw all the things going on with the Monte Carlo Casino night, and they raised about $33,000. That's net of expenses, and all those funds go to employees and your dependents for scholarships and then other children's outreach programs that they do. So, encourage you to look at that. If you want to pursue further education or your family members, it's a golden opportunity. A lot of our coworkers have been assisted through that. And as you see Kiwanis, they wear those golden vests. Thank them for that incredible work that they're doing, because it benefits all of us and all of our coworkers tremendously. The other thing I wanted to touch on was you probably got the announcement, either email or on your phone, about our eligibility expansion at the ARC. We're in our 39th year, and in January we start our 40th year. That entire time, our occupancy for eligibility had been restricted first to military officers that were retired. We slowly opened it a little bit to veterans at all levels, and then we opened it up to federal employees. Now, the residents overwhelmingly voted about 70% to open it up to the general public. And then the board approved that as well. So we're in the process of rolling that out and kind of changing our marketing strategy. We have a lot of money going nationally trying to attract military folks. We're going to concentrate some of that in the San Antonio and Texas region and still do some national advertising. But it really is going to help us get our occupancy up to a higher level, bring in more consistent revenues so we have good pay scales and resources and supplies, and continuing with all the amenities and benefits we offer to residents. So it's really a lift up for us, and all these years we've been competing, and this whole room's senior living. We got a little bitty circle we can go after of just folks that are eligible. So now we're going to be able to compete with anyone in this area on a level playing field. So super exciting, and it's going to benefit all of us as we move forward. So with that, I think, Stephanie, you had a couple of announcements you wanted to hit. We'll do the drawings.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Just a couple of announcements for you all. We've assigned some mandatory Relias courses as a part of our action plan for the resident satisfaction survey. So there is a customer service that's due for all employees, and then for administrative and clerical staff, there's 2 additional courses, one on communication and one on professional business calls. So these are due April 30th, and they are being tracked, so it's very important that you complete them. If you need assistance with logging into Relias or just completing the course in general, you can reach out to us in HR or to your supervisor, and we'll be happy to help with that. And then also, we wanted to let you all know that we want to make ourselves more available for you all. I know sometimes it's a little hard for you all to get to Lakeside, so we're going to set time apart each month to be over here in the high rise so that you guys can come visit if you need help with Paycor, payroll, Reliance, or anything that we might be able to assist you with. So we're going to kick that off next week, and we're going to be here right in front in the Sorber Conference Room from 8 to 11, and that'll be next Tuesday, the 24th. So hopefully you guys can stop by if you need us. Thank you.
Thank you. And how about a round for Stephanie and our HR team? They're incredible. So yeah, we did a big resident satisfaction survey, and there were most areas we scored really well, and a couple of areas we have some opportunities for improvement. So that's part of this action plan to kind of raise our scores up. And I want to thank, Debbie's not in here, but Debbie Hargett is kind of spearheading that resident satisfaction action plan. So those are coming down, and we're going to have a town hall for the residents later this month, which will be a lot of fun. Kidding. So we're going to go over the action plan with them, get their feedback, and then continue moving forward. So it'll be an exciting time. So with that, yeah. Almost forgot, but you brave folks on the front row, there's something under somebody's seat. You know, we try to tell this not church. You don't have to sit in the back. No offense. But, hey, Stephen, all right. How about that, huh? No one more deserving, Stephen. Outstanding. Right, guys? Yeah, also, any new hires that started the last 30 days that just joined us, please stand up so we can recognize you. Any new coworkers? I know Stephen back here. All right. Thank you. I see you dining. Hi. All right. We had a good group earlier today, so thank you for joining us, and it's really an exciting time for the ARC, and thank you for all you do for us and our residents, okay? Have a great rest of the day. Stay safe, and keep up the great work.